Hey guys, Akwaba, welcome to my channel. This is the video I promised like 1 month ago. The video is finally here, so oh boy, let's get to it. So back when I did the season review for An African City season 2, if you haven't checked out that video, go check it out. If today's your first time here, my name is Nana Ashanti. Stay around here. We like new people. I talked about the rift between Africans and African Americans, and I actually said I was going to do a video about it to share my perspective about what I've encountered so far as an African living in America. So this is the video. In An African City, what happened was Stefan, who was an African American, which is kind of funny because Stefan is actually Ghanaian. I found out he's actually Ghanaian, but Stefan, being an African American in the series, was dating McKenna, who was an African woman, and their relationship was like all over the place, and finally they broke up because of the whole disagreement on the slavery thing. And I feel like today it is still relevant, so let's talk about it. Like, let me issue a disclaimer. I'm going to talk about my personal experiences. If you're really sensitive to things like that, don't watch this. Really sensitive lately, I don't know why, but they get mad about everything. If you're one of those people that gets really mad about a lot of things, maybe this will not be the right video for you to watch, because I'm going to be sharing what is from my perspective. Now let's get right to it. The reason why McKenna and Stefan broke up in that episode of An African City was because of the whole slavery thing. Like I said, Stefan being an African American, the ethnicity, the people in the ethnicity have actually been known to go back to that slavery roots. And you look on TV and there is always a new movie like shaped around that slavery era, and people are really, like, let's just say, obsessed with that. And we as Africans, we don't care about that. I know it's a really brazen thing to say we don't care about that, but that's the truth. That's the God honest truth. We don't care about that because we were not raised to that. We did not have that in our curriculums in school. Our parents didn't tell us about that. It's just a non-issue when it comes to our daily living, because it doesn't affect our day-to-day operations in the continent as it is in North America. Here we still have a lot of oppression, a lot of things that black people here are going through because of the effects of slavery. They're still dealing with it today. So maybe that is where I'd say maybe the little obsession with the slavery era comes from, because they're still dealing with police brutality and all of that stuff that stems from that era. Whereas we as Africans, we don't deal with that back home because we don't like associate our stories from that slavery era. And I would say that it was because we were not thought about it, and because we don't research much about it. We just like move on with our lives, not really, you know, I won't say blame, but not really accounting some of our problems to that era. And when we dig deep, it may actually be because of that era, that slave trade that happened. But that is the simple explanation from the reason why Africans and African Americans feel very different about the whole story of slavery. Being an African living here in the United States, I have come across a lot of things that I find really, really peculiar. Like, let's just start. If this video gets too long, I'm going to make it into a part 1 and part 2. So let's start from why Africans resent African Americans. Now, in this video, I'm going to use Africans and African Americans a lot. It does not mean it's everybody, because I know somebody's going to be like, bro, no, we're not like that. Neither are a lot of people. This is like just a few people I've come across personally. But the reason why I, as an African, meet some African Americans and I don't gel well with them, or I don't really care to talk to them, is because, number one, I found out that when African Americans talk to Africans, the tone is usually very condescending. It's like, oh my god, like, where are you from? Because they don't know where you are. Like other people, like Spanish people, like Hispanic people and Asians and Caribbean people, they also like do that, but their tone is not condescending. I have found that in African Americans, sometimes their tone is really, really condescending, and they tease you a lot about your name. I have had a guy, I went to my office building, he was new, he was at the gate, and I gave him my ID, and he saw my last name. He was like, what the hell kind of last name is that? Like, you know, like it was very, very like, I was like, well, people like, excuse me, say there are other people of other races and other ethnicities there who see my last name and never like make that comment, but he said that. But what I have noticed is that the tone in which they say it kind of makes you go back a little. But if you take a little time to actually break it down to them, you find out, listen, this is a really nice, he's a really nice person, but he just has a really bad tone because he's ignorant about like issues like that. So I took my time and I explained to him, my name is this, it's royals, the name of a kingdom is this and this, and I broke it down, and he was like, oh my god, like I always wanted to go to Kenya, and we had a good conversation for like about 5 minutes. But one reason why a lot of Africans like really find it really difficult dating African Americans or actually just socializing with them, it's because of sometimes the tone is very, very condescending, and it's just like really not good for like unity or anything. I mean, you wouldn't want to talk to somebody who's condescending to you. So that's the number one reason. The reason why Africans kind of just like, you know, always stay, it's because of things that we've also heard about African Americans and the way, you know, maybe their culture is. I find out that some things that we associate as African American culture is actually not a culture, it's actually an issue. You know, African Americans also feel like Africans are very arrogant, and then we always feel like we're better than them because we are because we know like our tribes and our clans and our names, and we know where our roots from. They feel like sometimes we're very, very like arrogant, and I actually agree with that. I do agree with that. I have a blog post I'm going to link below. It's called I'm African, I'm Not Black. It just breaks down everything, the reason why we say we're not black and the reason why there's this whole rift. So go check that out. The reason why a lot of Africans, when it comes to we knowing where we're from, we're arrogant about it, is because that's how ethnocentrism is, and which is actually an issue. That's how it is. We always feel like we're better than another tribe, or that's also our own type of racism, if you know what I mean. So when you don't even belong to anything, or you don't know it, with ethnocentrism, it's like, oh my god, like who are you, like where are you from, who are your people, like what's your last name. Last names are really, really important. So that's what it is with like a lot of African Americans also feel like Africans are really arrogant. So that's, I mean, that's one of the issues that we're gonna have to get